All right, we're going to take a look at how to fix gun clipping in Unreal Engine. There's a bunch of stuff out there on the internet, but I couldn't find anything too specific, like a tutorial how to do it. So here's a pretty quick and easy way to do it. So here's what happens. Here's the gun clipping. You go up to the wall. Oh, it goes right in. It's terrible. Your body won't go through it, but the gun does, and which is the worst. Let's see here. See, now on here, all the guns do it. Terrible. Goes right through the wall. So very unrealistic. You just can't have that. So let's take a look at some of the ways to fix that. So if we go back to our event graph, if you'll see on the character, if default character class, it has the collision, and this is the main collision, and so this is what actually everything works off of. So you can put collision boxes in here, like you see this collision box, and there's also collision on the gun here. You see these right here. You can put those on there, and they will work for collision. Like if you hit a dynamic box or something with physics, it'll knock it over. But if it's a wall, like a static wall, that keeps the character from going, it won't work. You'll just go right into it. So I don't know of any way around that. You can make the main collision bigger, big enough to encompass the gun. But as you can tell, if you started making this collision bigger, it's going to get so big on the sides too, where you can't go through doors, and so that won't work either. The easiest way that I have found to do it, some people do a line trace right here, but then you're stuck with another tick. But I thought the easiest way to do it is just put a collision right here, a collision component, and then on that collision component, let me take a look at this in just a moment. On this collision component that I put on the gun itself, it does not have physics set, and then it only has generate overlaps for the collision, and then it has query only, no physics, and the only thing that's ignored is the visibility, the camera, and a projectile. Everything else is overlapped. So that's how that's set up. And then if you go into your event graph, simply on the move, on that collision that we were just talking about, that was on the end of the gun, you create a on component begin overlap. So anytime it overlaps with something, and on here we just made it something, if it's simulating physics, we don't want it to overlap, because what will happen is the gun will come up, but it'll be coming up and going down as it hits physical objects. So if it has physics, we don't want to do anything. And then simply all it does is do once. It does a timeline, and in that timeline, we created a float track, and you can see there. And then we made some points here. The first one starts at 0, and then it goes to negative 1999 or 20. And what that does is it changes this rotation value. So if you go back to the viewpoint, all it's going to do is when this up here, this collision right here, hits a wall, I'm going to go back down here a little bit. All it's going to do is move the X value, or rotate the arms up. See that? That's all it's going to do. It's going through the timeline over 0.2 seconds. So in 0.2 seconds, it'll move it up like this, and then once the overlap is done, it'll move back down just like that. That's all it does. Very simple. And that's used with the timeline. So that's the 0.2 seconds. As you can see right here, we just created a float parameter, and then and you can see the timeline right here. If you click on the last one, you'll see time is 0.2 seconds. It's going to go minus, which is very easy to do. So this over 0.2 seconds is going to count this down. It's going to roll back to X20, 20 degrees, and then that's it. So then when you let off, it says on component end overlap. You'll see what happens. It just reverses it. So it goes, so if it's up in the air, then it just brings it back down over the 0.2 seconds and breaks the transform. We did have, I did need to create a gun location variable. So as soon as this begins, it locks that in so it knows where the gun is. And then you could pull that information in order to set this up. Then what you do is just set relative transform, and then it's going to be on that mesh the hands, which is the MP2. So this is the actual MP2, and it just moves it up and down. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. We got it hooked up here. Really easy stuff here, and let's check it now that it's set up. I'll click play. And there's our house again. We'll go on down here, see what happens. See how it just brings up the gun, and you can, of course, move the gun. However, some people might want to move the gun just to the left where it comes in towards them. I just thought it was easy enough to come up the way that the hands are set up and everything. And this, anything that you have it set up on, it'll work on also. So any of your other guns or, yeah, real easy, simple solution. Not a lot of overhead. You're not using a tick. So basically, you just put a collision on the end of your gun, and then set up the code just like this on a begin overlap. Set a timeline. Get your gun location. Transform. Set that, and then run through here. If you have any questions, or if you found a better way to do this, I would love to hear some feedback on this. Definitely love to hear some feedback on this collision. This is the main collision for the character component, and it looks like that's the only one that works. You can't get any other collision to work, because you would think that you would just put a collision on your gun, and then when you hit a wall, it would just stop, just like when it hits this collision up here, but it doesn't. I don't know if there's some kind of limitation. It's very odd. There are a lot of people talking about it, but it didn't seem like there's a lot of solutions. So I hope this helps you, and if you have any other solutions, I'd love to hear from them. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great day.